Hello there everyone, welcome to another World of Tanks console video with me, Wombo Leader, and in this video I want to feature the French Tier 8 Tech Tree Heavy, the AMX 65T. Now this is a tank that's got a pretty poor reputation within the game, especially a few years ago, but it has been significantly buffed and the armour is now actually okay for a heavy tank, but I think this tank is probably better described as a heavily armed medium because the mobility is pretty decent rather than a traditional heavy. But the reason I want to feature it is because it's got a rather interesting quirk in that one of the upgrades that you get is questionable as to whether it really is an upgrade. That upgrade in question is of course the turret. You can see the stock turret versus the upgraded turret, stock turret on the right, upgraded turret on the left, and you can see the pros and cons there. So in terms of pros, you do get 13 more meters of view range, you do get 100 extra hit points, and you do get the ability to mount the 120mm gun, which you can't do with the stock turret. But you also get a huge weak spot on the top, which is not very useful when you're trying to use the turret armour. You have worse overall armour, I would say, you have worse turret traverse, and you also have, most significantly, 2 degrees of less gun depression. And with gun depression being so important in the game, I think that's maybe just something I'm not willing to sacrifice. And in this game, you're going to see why I run the stock turret, because that gun depression is so important to the overall outcome of this match. But getting to what has happened so far, we get an early shot into the Tiger. We didn't see that AMBT rushing up behind us. They managed to put their full clip into the back of us, and just over a minute into the game we have lost half our hit points, and we also seem to have the attention of the artillery here. But putting a shot into the Panther, 8.8, getting our third damaging hit into the enemy team at this point. But getting focused here by the artillery, this kind of position here is pretty good at the beginning of the game because you can get some cross shots into the enemy team trying to go down that flank, especially if you've got the gun depression to work this position here. But it also 99% of the time draws the attention of the enemy artillery fire, which, as you will be well aware if you watch any of my content, I love artillery so much. We do actually take a hit from one of the artilleries there, but I think they're firing either heat or armour piercing, and so it only goes into the tracks and doesn't actually cause us any damage. Our team is pushing down the middle. It's usually one of the favourite things I like to do on this map here. Sand River is a tier 8 game. I do like to try and push down the middle on this map, because if you can then get so far, you can uncover the enemy team's tank destroyer positions and open them up to your teammates' fire. You can pick up some good assistance, and very often that can lead to the victory. So I was planning on joining my teammates that have pushed down the middle. They've made a nice push down there, but I did also notice that the western flank was starting to fall, and if the enemy team managed to capitalise on that, they're going to have access to our cap, and I really didn't want them to cap us out. Far too many games at the moment are ending with the enemy team capping, and especially in this position here where they are a tank down, it would be the sensible thing to do. So the plan is to get back to the base and try and intervene in that position there and see if we can make ourselves useful. But before we get there, we did notice this Jagdtiger 8.8cm out in the open, and you can never really turn down some nice easy shots like this. We put 2 into the Jagdtiger, and then it moves into cover. It's under pressure from our 3 teammates down there, and I can't really see them lasting much longer. We can now turn our attention to that western flank and see if we can get some shots in to the tanks that are pushing through there. We've got an IS in front of us, and here is where that 2 extra degrees of gun depression come in so useful. Probably couldn't really work this position with the upgraded turret at only 8 degrees of gun depression. 10 degrees versus 8 degrees often feels so nice. It's like, it feels like a bigger difference, to be honest with you, than say maybe like 6 versus 8. Just having that 10 degrees of gun depression is absolutely lovely. But it's time now to try and get into position to try and ambush these tanks pushing through. One of our artilleries has got the memo, they are getting out of there, but our other artillery has, well, for a very typical artillery player, they sort of just spawn where they are, shoot there for the entire game. They have no map awareness whatsoever, and they're just going to get caught by the enemy team. The moment they get spotted, they turn around, it's too late, they're going to get taken out. But our plan is to use this ridge line here, use our 10 degrees of gun depression, and use our turret armour to mount an ambush on the enemy tanks that are pushing through this position. We have a Draugen who spots us there. We put a nice shot into the cupola of the Draugen, and then we're going to try and move back into cover to try and use that ridge line there and protect ourselves from the enemy fire. And if the only thing we're exposing to the enemy fire is the turret, I'm pretty confident that it's going to hold up. It's around about 250mm of effective armour overall. However, what I was not expecting as their 6 seconds goes up, I was not expecting the Draugen to charge in the way they did there. We put a shot into them as they jump over the ridge. They put a big hit into us as well, leaving us down on 130 hit points. The Ram takes us down to 61, but we've got them down to 76. We're looking for the shot to try and finish them off, face hugging them, hoping that the turret armour is going to hold up. And we're going to take a shot into the roof and we get the kill shot, and then try to use their carcass as cover from the enemy fire that's coming in from a TNH 105-1000 and an IS there. We auto aim that one in, we get lucky, we get the tracking shot as well, and then again we're using the Draugen as cover, we're using the gun depression, and we finish off the TNH there to take it down to 5 versus 3. And this one should be in the bag. So yeah, using the attributes of this stock turret, I feel we've managed to kind of get ourselves into some good positions, get some shots in that I'm not convinced we've been able to get in with the upgraded turret with only 8 degrees of gun depression, and that's why I wanted to feature this tank and kind of demonstrate to you that, in my opinion, the way to play this tank is with that stock turret. You've got good overall turret armour, you've got 10 degrees of gun depression, you can't mount the bigger gun to be fair, the 120mm gun, but this 100mm has good accuracy, a good rate of fire, and you've got 232mm of pen as well, and you're about 265 maybe on the premium rounds, so it's a pretty decent gun in its own right. But an interesting tank if you ask me, and one of these kind of rare tanks where the upgrade isn't really an upgrade, and that's not something you come across too often in World of Tanks. But thank you very much for watching, folks. Pretty decent game for us in the end. 3,500 damage, 4 kills, 1,680 blocked, all on the turret. The hull armour maybe bounce some tier 6s, the occasional tier 7, but the turret armour will bounce some shots off tier 8s, tier 9s, and even occasional tier 10 if you have the misfortune to come up against them. But thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye now.